Welcome to the latest Motley Fool scoreboard. I'm Anand Chakabaloon. We've got longtime fools Travis Hoyam and Rick Menares giving a 1 to 10 rating to online travel giant Booking Holdings, ticker symbol BKNG. We'll talk about the strength of Booking's business first, including factors like industry and competition. A 10 is invincible, a 1 is hopeless. Both of you have 8s, Travis.
Yeah, marketplace businesses are extremely powerful if you can get to scale. That's exactly what Booking has done. They've been riding the industry's tailwinds and a bunch of acquisitions that they've made over the past couple of decades, really. I have questions about the future of the business with artificial intelligence. You know, are we going to be booking things the same way that we do now? Or are we just going to go into ChatGPT or Gemini and go directly to websites? That's a question. We'll probably touch on that in a little bit. But for now, this is an amazingly run business, and so I got to go really high.
So Priceline Expedia, they went public in 1999, just as the dot-com bubble was starting to get sudsy. Traditional travel agents would be in for a world of hurt, but would this become a cutthroat, moatless, hopeless race to the bottom? Priceline would go on to acquire Booking.com in 2005, opening up Europe and an inevitable corporate name change. It has also bought Kayak.com, OpenTable, more than a dozen platforms over the past 20 years that it can unify and amplify. There's Throat, Moat, and Hope. Priceline's original spokesman was William Shatner. Captain Kirk took the enterprise to where no man has gone before. Booking.com is taking this enterprise to where no business plan has gone before.
For management,
that was a great Rick answer.
Wasn't that great? For management, a 10 is Warren Buffett, a 1 is Homer Simpson. Rick's at an 8. Travis, you're at a 7.
Yeah, there's not a lot that you can really criticize in the past with Fogel, but I had to go a little bit lower than Rick here, at least, because I'm not sure if he's going to be the right person for the next phase of growth. You know, he has experience, survived the dot-com bubble or a burst, you know, kind of built and modified that business model, made acquisitions. Well, what does the future look like? And I haven't heard enough. You know, they just had their conference call. They talk about artificial intelligence, but it doesn't seem like they have a coherent strategy. They seem a little bit more like Sears in 1998 than Amazon in 1998. So that's what makes me a little bit worried. And so I'll go a little bit lower. 7's still pretty high though.
Well, I'm not getting my Booking.com mail order catalog in the mail, but Glenn Fogel has been in leadership roles at Booking.com for 25 years now. The company has been pretty consistent grower in that time. Outside of the pandemic mass 2020, you have to go all the way back to 2003 to find the last time that Booking.com has posted negative revenue growth, something that can't be said of the overall travel market. 10-year results, great, 8.
For financials, a 10 is a fortress, a 1 is yikes. Rick is at an 8. Travis, you're just at a 6.
Yeah, I went low for a few reasons here. Revenue growth is slowing. So yes, like Rick said, there is positive revenue growth, but it has slowed recently. Margins are also down over the last decade. That one I think is pretty surprising because as a company gets more scale, we should see those margins push higher as you get more operating leverage, especially for a tech company. That's not exactly what's happening. So, you know, are they having to spend a little bit too much on things like Google searches? And then, like I said, with artificial intelligence, I don't know if this point of power that they have, all these acquisitions, all these platforms that they have purchased, is that going to get stronger or weaker as we go in the future? I think some of the sort of negative trends, the slowing growth, the weakening margins, at least slightly weakening margins, I think that could actually get worse if we're going to be doing our travel booking through like a ChatGPT or one of these AI agents.
Yeah, so Booking.com has delivered double-digit revenue growth in 16 of the last 19 years. That's impressive. When Priceline Expedia went public, they were fairly equal. That's not the case now. Expedia would have to become an 8-bagger from here to approach Booking.com's $180 billion market cap. Booking. Yeah.
Rick, let's talk valuation. How well will Booking Holdings stock do over the next 5 years, and how safe is it? 10 is a sure thing. A 1 is a lottery ticket.
Yeah, so I went with a 5 to 10% 5-year return, a 7% safety score. So you can score cheap getaways on Booking.com, but the stock itself is not cheap. Booking is trading for about 35 times trailing earnings, almost double Expedia's multiple. The top line multiple is an even bigger divide. The valuation concern here is why I'm going with a modest 5 to 10% growth for a 5-year annualized return. The near-term outlook for the global travel market is turbulent enough for the overhead fasten your seatbelt lights to be on. I feel better about the safety outlook. Booking.com has roughly as much cash as it has debt on its balance sheet. It's going to be probably the last online travel portal standing, and that's an outstanding place to be as an investor.
Yeah, I don't know. The last company standing, that's an interesting kind of bullish point there. So I went just a little bit lower, 0 to 5% from an expectation and a safety score of 5. Part of that is that, like Rick said, it's pretty expensive, even on a forward basis, 26 times forward earnings. And I just think those pressures that I talked about in the last segment, those are the kinds of things that is actually going to make this stock even more expensive if they don't live up to that. They just reported their earnings and their guidance was pretty meh. That's, a lot of tailwinds or headwinds that they're facing from a macro environment, but there's also competition coming into this space. And, I just don't know if the next 10 years is going to be as good as the last 20.
Time for everyone's favorite topic. Rick, is there a company in booking holding space that you like better?
I'm not so sure about the U.S., so I decided to go overseas. And Despegar, which is Latin America's largest online travel, went private last year. I'm still not 100% sure I'll make my trip in India, but Trip.com, which used to be Ctrip, China's leading online portal, I think it's attractively valued here. It obviously took a bigger hit during the pandemic than Booking.com did, but it's bounced back, double-digit growth consistently, very high double-digit growth, trades at half the earnings multiple of Booking.com, and there's even a little dividend there. So, yeah, Trip.com. TCOM is the ticker symbol.
Yeah, I don't love the valuation, but Airbnb is at least a little bit more of a platform. It's not just if artificial intelligence is where we end up, booking our travel, you can just go straight to a website, a hotel, or an airline, for example. Airbnb has a little bit different business because you do have that network effect of people listing homes or rooms on Airbnb. So it's maybe a little bit better moat from potential disruption. I also think founder led. It is a single platform instead of a whole bunch of apps and websites who are kind of jammed together with Booking.com. So I don't say this as a no brainer versus Booking, but Airbnb would be my pick if I've got to top it.
Airbnb is a wonderful business. I'm always hoping for a better valuation. I think I bought it because of Scoreboard, regardless of the valuation. Love to buy on a dip. Thank you to both Travis and Rick. They've given Booking Holdings an all right overall score of 6.5 out of 10, with an 8 for the business and good scores for management and financials. Rick is clearly more bullish than Travis. We'd have different scoreboards on each of them. It's almost a bull bear here. Look out for a new scoreboard every market day at 7 p.m. Eastern. Next up is Garmin. Till then, Fool on.
My theory with Booking, they built this marketplace. They made it possible to find stuff, but they're just going to be abstracted away if we're just doing this stuff through AI.
I don't think it'll be that smooth because, again, you can't really get the whole breadth of all the properties. Sure, AI can figure it out, but if it's that important, I think Booking.com will make the right investments, not just superficial investments.